Live from the Busch Light Studios.
I love Arkansas. I love everything here. Give me that thing here. Woo! Yeah.
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
And this one belongs to the Razorbacks.
Streaming live from
HitThatLine.com.
Go crazy at Bob Walker. Go nuts.
This is Halftime with Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious...
Your Razorbacks are 2021 SEC champions. And Bob Walker Stadium is an insane asylum.
I have been waiting for this moment for a long time.
Judging by the sound of it, so has everyone else.
Hey, hold on, it's almost halftime.
For those who were so incredibly sad after the Super Bowl and you knew you didn't have any football, any real football to watch. I'm not talking about the spring football in the FCS, and I don't mean that as any insult. Well, I'm sure you might have watched some of that. I don't mean any of the minor leagues in football. For those of you who enjoy big-time football, whether it be the NFL or college football, and you're not into games that don't matter. By the way, but on that theory, on that thought right there, Drew Barrett, I want to offer sincere congratulations to your favorite NFL team as you are wearing the one of the colored shirts of the greatest preseason franchise of all time. The Baltimore Ravens. What did I see? They just won what was it, 19 straight?
19th in a row. They now tie the record with Green Bay Packers, who won 19 straight preseason games from 1959 to 1962 under the great Vince Lombardi.
Yeah,
so anytime you can put your same name
titles.
Yeah,
I guess so. Well,
I mean, it's a record. I mean, and John Harbaugh and the rest of the Ravens organization is very proud of that record because it just shows that nothing should be treated as a throwaway. Yeah, you should be competitive. You should try to win any game that you're in because if they're keeping score, you want to win. I know
it doesn't mean
grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean a damn thing.
Not in the grand scheme of things, but it helps you build that kind of winning culture and that winning mentality going into the season. It's much better to go now 3-0 than 0-3.
Has nothing to do with anything that'll happen during the regular season whatsoever.
Well,
hey,
19's 19, okay.
Steelers are undefeated in the preseason, too. I'll put absolutely nothing into the record of that team in the preseason. We'll see what happens once we get into December.
I might pop some bottles next week when they get to 20. I'll pop a bottle.
Like if
an airplane bottle.
If anybody would ever pop a bottle of real like champagne or even the cheapest sparkling wine to celebrate a preseason record,
I'll go get a $7 bottle of Andres.
You're just looking for an excuse to drink. That's what it's all about. You just get yourself a bottle of Freaks and At, and I think that'll probably help you have yourself a good time. By the way, that's Fresh and A for those of you who are into the French pronunciation of really bad champagne. But this is the last week without regular season games. Week 0
is upon us.
I feel about the 0 thing. Last stand of Scott Frost versus the new beginning of Brett Bielema. Oddly enough, that's on my list of my college football road trip that you asked me to put together this morning, Drew. We'll do that later on in the show. Right? We could get into it any minute, to be quite honest. Where you want to go watch football. Now, we're talking about every week of the season.
Every week. Got to pick a different destination.
Which also, by the way, Drew, means you got to have a week 0 pick because that's part of the regular season. You already are a step behind that. You haven't done a week 0.
Yeah, I didn't do week 0.
But that's okay.
I can do that real quick.
I didn't pick a week 15 because you already had done the only game that's being played week 15. Of course, the Army-Navy game. But I think I've got some fun trips that I'd like to take. I'm already going to go on a road trip for all of these road games with Arkansas. So I knew I couldn't pick any Arkansas games for this college football road trip that would take you would crisscross the country a few times. So I think it would also involve some air travel as well. But hey, you do have college football, real college football, coming up this weekend on a Saturday. We've got lots to get to as Arkansas finished its final scrimmage of the preseason and now get into really what'll feel like, I think, the routine of what college football feels like during the season because classes start today on campus at Arkansas, and that means late afternoon to evening practices and viewing sessions for the media and late late interview sessions instead of the mid-afternoon or the morning practices that went on during the last couple of weeks, 3 weeks. So now you're really getting to, I guess you'd call it the routine of what it's like, I mean, remember when you were a student and how you had to try to get into the routine.
Yeah.
And how difficult that was for me, like getting into the routine of a college student as a freshman. It took, let's just put it this way, it took 3 years to find the routine of really what you should be doing as a college student. And by that time, I was on my second school.
Yeah, so. It does. But I know we're talking about football, but you see the video of Eric Musselman zipping around campus today on the scooter, welcoming the students back to the Hill?
Yes.
He seems like such a fun guy. I cannot wait to actually meet him in person.
Yeah, and I'd also seen Mike Neighbors and the women's basketball team has a brand new, it's like a tricked-out golf cart, I guess, to get around town. And somebody asked me, what do they need that for? They've got to compete with Muss.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Muss was doing last year when students did make it to campus. Now he's going around on one of the scooters, or was that a Segway? I forgot.
It was a scooter, one of those e-scooters.
Yeah, one of those scooters. It's a lot of fun to take around town. So, yeah. How many other college coaches are zipping around campus, taking photos with people and giving high fives and reminding them to get your tickets for basketball season?
I don't think Coach Cal's hopping on a scooter. I don't think Coach K's hopping on a scooter going around Duke to try to get build up excitement for the following year and his ultimate last year. Other coach that would get on a scooter in college basketball, I don't know if there is one. There's nobody that really brings that excitement, that kind of flavor to the conversation that Eric Musselman does. He just seems like such a fun, personal guy that when you see a video like that, you're like, of course. I mean, of course Eric Musselman's welcoming students back to the Hill, that he's whipping around campus on a scooter.
And by the way, like if you're taking one of those scooters around campus now or that part of town, you better have your head on a swivel. Make sure you're wearing a helmet now, because you got a bunch of 18-year-olds in cars that might be rolling through some of those intersections that they should be stopping at if there are people on scooters going through. Like, this is the time of year where now that I finally am living in Fayetteville while campus is burgeoning with tons of students, like your caution level driving around that part of town has to go, up 100%.
I'm sure. And for anybody who's thinking about getting on the e-scooters, a PSA, I told this story to Tommy and Ty this morning off of air. Make sure you only drive them sober. As from personal,
that's good advice. That's very good advice.
From personal experience, I had once got on one when I had a little too much to drink. Was going to a different bar. It was about 5 blocks away. Had an Uber with some friends, and a buddy of mine convinced me to get on the scooter. You get that thing up to 15 miles an hour. You get a little speed wobbles. You slam your head into a concrete wall. You're going to the hospital, and you get a nice little scar on the side of your neck there, and then your ear kind of detaches a bit. So, yeah, just a PSA. I'll have to show you. I'll send you a photo with all the blood and gore of after it happened.
Now that I think of it, I mean, they don't demand you wear a helmet on these things.
They don't
provide a helmet for you on those scooters. Maybe a breathalyzer would be a good idea.
Probably.
On each of them that might get, it's like not like you can say just activated at 6 at night. Some people wake up and start drinking. So, yeah, that would be one way to get around town that I would highly advise against, especially over by campus and all the places. Muss was over there yesterday. Already have a text in from Jeremiah in Cedarville about Kellen Robinson. Did you see? And we'll get into this in 3 Up, 3 Down later on in the show. This has got to be one of the great all-time photos that I've ever seen for recruiting history. Kellen Robinson is KK's brother, and already a pretty highly sought-after recruit. Was on an official visit to Auburn, or as he called it on his Instagram post, the University of Auburn, which is the
Auburn University,
which is would be the opposite way to say it. And I love that, because not only does he call it the University of Auburn, but the photo in which he is announcing that he got an offer from Auburn with Bruce Pearl right there, smiling, hand on Kellen's shoulder, and Kellen's wearing an Arkansas Razorback T-shirt. Of course, his brother is KK Robinson, so he's got reason to root for him. But at the same time, on this very photo, I mean, could you imagine the look on Pearl's face when Kellen Robinson walks in? And he's like, we're going to offer this kid. And he's wearing an Arkansas shirt. Absolutely perfect. I don't know if Kellen meant to troll the Auburn basketball program the way that he kind of did.
Maybe it was just an attempt to say, hey, I need swag. I'm not going to buy your stuff. I need you to give it to me. I bet he left. I bet he left with more than an offer. I bet he left with at least a couple T-shirts.
A couple of T-shirts, I think. Must sign him now. Yeah, right. Get an offer out at least. If he's anything like KK, I think you'd certainly want him here. All right, to set up the show, some talk about the twos for Arkansas football. Have we found the twos at some of the more important positions? Connor O'Gara will join us. We'll get into brothers that hated each other. If you read about the Everly Brothers, and the oldest one passed away over the weekend, 3 up, 3 down, and the college football road trip of a lifetime. Halftime, right back.
The Morning Rush with Ty Richardson and Tommy Kraft.
What's the deal with you not having the same long hair that you had on your wedding day?
Well, it's gray and falling out. When you're 67, those kind of things go away, Ty. Again, we're questioning your intelligence when you're asking a question like this.
There's this thing, I don't know if you're aware of it, it's called sarcasm, and it's used from time to time on this program.
Don't miss The Morning Rush. Weekdays from 6 till 9. Only on ESPN 95.3 and hitthatline.com.
Nobody has more pre-owned trucks than Harry Robinson's Salasol Ford. Work trucks, heavy-duty four-wheel drive trucks, single cab, extended cab, and four-wheel drive crew cab trucks. Fords, Chevys, GMCs, Dodge, Ram, and Nissans. And with historic low interest rates, no payments for 90 days, and the most for your trade, Harry Robinson's Salasol Ford is the only place to buy your next truck. Harry Robinson's Salasol Ford, 1 mile south of exit 308 off I-40 in Salasol.
Wake up your happy at Hardee's with the new $3 French toast dips. Wait, what? French toast dips sprinkled with powdered sugar and served with a side of syrup. Sugary, syrupy, dippable. Sweeten up your morning at Hardee's. Who's gonna tell you no? Try the new $3 French toast dips at Hardee's. The sweet one on the 2-3 more breakfast menu. Feed your happy. Available during regular breakfast hours at participating Hardee's restaurants. Tax not included. Price and participation may vary.
My name is Adam Gray. I have so far lost 32 patients to COVID-19, and I've consoled people who contracted the virus and gave it to a loved one who then died. And this is breaking my heart. A very large percentage of the people in Arkansas right now that are being hospitalized are under the age of 40 and almost exclusively unvaccinated. We need this to end.
Get your vaccination. Learn more at healthy.arkansas.gov. This message brought to you by the Arkansas Department of Health.
Wherever work takes you, we've got you. The BF Goodrich Trademan Support Program. Get a $70 rewards card after online submission with the purchase of 4 new BF Goodrich passenger or light truck tires. You also get a $60 satisfaction guarantee and 24-hour worksite or roadside assistance. Southern Tire Mart just off of I-540 at exit 14 in Fort Smith. BF Goodrich Tires and best-in-class service. See bfgoodrichtires.com/tradesman for complete details. Offer expires 12/31/2021. Void where prohibited.
Was your roof damaged by recent storms? Don't fall victim to out-of-town contractors and fly-by-night repairmen. Trust the local roofing professionals at Able Roofing. Call their local number, 474-0006, for a free roof inspection. Never trust something as important as the roofing system on your home to a storm chaser. Able Roofing, 474-0006, will work with your insurance company. Call now for your free roof inspection, 474-0006. Able Roofing, the hometown roofers.
This is Brett Good, former Razorback and Super Bowl champion with the Green Bay Packers. Everyone loves to be on a winning team. That is why I have joined Henderson Phillips Employer Solutions. Henderson Phillips can help you tackle all your employee benefit, health insurance, and staffing management solutions. Plus, I can help you with any commercial or personal insurance need. Come join my team at Henderson Phillips. Call me, Brett Good, at 479-651-2292. That's 651-2292.
Harry Robinson Buick GMC wants to buy your vehicle, and they'll pay top dollar today. Pre-owned car values are at an all-time high, and your car is worth more today than it ever will be again. If you are driving a 2013 model or newer with 120,000 miles or less, bring it to Harry Robinson Buick GMC, and they will pay you more for your trade. Even if you don't want to buy a new car, they will still buy yours. Harry Robinson Buick GMC, exit 11 off of I-540 in Fort Smith.
This is ESPN 95.3.
Hey, One more now, Lucille.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett. Want to jump in the conversation with the guys? Call or text into Halftime at 877-377-6963.
877-377-6963. Connor O'Gara joining us in the next segment, and tons to get to over the course of this show. I did see this morning that the Pfizer vaccine has been given complete approval and licensing by the Food and Drug Administration, and the first one to get past that emergency approval. So very good to hear about that, and hopefully that'll help, convince a few more to maybe take the shot. And I know, Drew, you have a friend of yours that unfortunately decided that he wasn't going to take the shot. And I'll just let you take it from there because I don't really know how to set you up for this.
It's kind of hard to set up, but I got a phone call this morning from back in the 901, and I know we like to joke about how I still talk about Memphis and stuff, but I really hope all of you out there listen to this, and with the FDA announcement today, if you're still on the fence, to please reconsider, because Tiger great legend linebacker Danton Bartow, a guy that I've gotten to know over the last few years and have been able to call a friend, unfortunately passed away this morning due to COVID-19. He had been in the hospital in the ICU for the last 2 weeks, really had an up and down battle with it, but unfortunately lost that battle early this morning, leaving behind a son in college who now plays for the University of Memphis, a new wife that he just got married to, I think maybe a little bit over a year ago, and so many people, friends and people that just really admired him and everything that he did. He besides playing for the University of Memphis, he played in the CFL for a few years, coached in the Arena Football League, was a scout for the St. Louis Rams for a while, somebody who truly touched a lot of people's lives in football. And one of the last text messages that he sent his wife before they put him under, because they had talked about getting the vaccine and were on the fence about it, and they thought, we'll wait a little bit longer just to see if anything comes out that gives us a little bit more reassurance. And they contracted COVID at the same time 2 weeks ago, and she wasn't able to be at the hospital with him when he ultimately passed away. And before he went under on the ventilator, one of his last messages, besides "I love you, tell everybody I'm going to beat this," was to please get the vaccine as soon as you are able to do so. I really hope that this story encourages all of you out there that still might be on the fence to go get it, because Danton was a great guy and somebody that I'm very happy to have learned from and to have been able to call a friend. And it does sting, and I just ask for your thoughts and prayers for his family and everybody else that's been affected by this terrible disease. And if you haven't done your part, I hope you will reconsider.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about that, Drew. Obviously, it's somebody that touched you, I think, as a sports fan, but also just as a person as well. And I think that everybody that passes away, everybody that dies, not just from this, but from anything, they leave behind people that they've affected, whether positively or negatively. And it really does sound like he affected you and a lot of other people in a very positive way. And hopefully it'll convince a few more reluctant people. Obviously, the ones that are close to him will, I think, by this time, probably have started getting their vaccination. But to anyone listening that is still either on the fence, I know maybe you've made up your mind one way or the other, and if you've made up your mind in a way to get the shot, then you've already made that decision. But we hope that a lot of anecdotal stories don't necessarily convince a lot of people, but
that's the thing that a lot of people, excuses or reasons why they haven't gotten it is the excuse of, well, I haven't known anybody that's passed away. I haven't personally known anybody who has been hospitalized and who's been on the edge of losing the fight with COVID-19. So it hasn't affected me personally. Why do I need to get the vaccine? And I kind of felt that way for a little bit, when this thing first started. But then I realized the science and the spread and everything around it. I got my vaccine as soon as I was able to. And, just because it hasn't affected your life yet doesn't mean it won't. I didn't know when or who would be one of the first people for this disease that really would hit home for me. and Dan has been that, but I'm glad that I've done my part. I got the vaccine before that. So hopefully, just because you don't know somebody doesn't mean the person next to you, the person driving behind you right now, wherever you are in the great state of Arkansas, hasn't been affected by this and hasn't lost a loved one. And I encourage you to do it now before you could possibly affect somebody that you love, and you have to feel the pain that I know so many people back in the 901 are going through right now.
And as far as in the sports world right now, you saw the Big Ten came out with their announcement that COVID forfeits are forfeits now. Mm-hmm. It's not rescheduled, anything like that. And I think that's the direction that just about every league is going to go in. Where the difference is going to be is I don't think necessarily whether or not stadiums will be full. It's whether or not there's going to be a required negative test or a required vaccination card. Like Oregon and Oregon State have both placed that forward. Now, I don't think there's going to be any school in the Southeastern Conference that goes that route, but I do think that especially right now, because we're expecting to have 100% at the Arkansas Razorback games, that probably going to need to mask up in the indoor areas and elevators. And, if you're standing side by side by people, I don't know what the expectation necessarily is. But, as someone that's going to be at all the games and in indoor areas, if I'm just like I did for basketball games, if I'm not speaking into a microphone at that moment, I'm going to have the mask on. Yeah. So I would expect the other members of the broadcast crew to do the same thing, media members as well, because we're indoors. If you're a fan that's outdoors or in your own personal suite, things might be a little bit different. But we've heard no announcements about that. I know Hunter Yurichek was on the Morning Rush last week and said as of now, and there's always that as of now or yet kind of a thing, because sometimes we're not quite sure the direction everything is going in here. 100%, and the university has mandated masks at all indoor areas on campus. Razorback Stadium is on campus, so I think you should expect to be asked to wear a mask in the indoor areas
and throughout the concourse, and take it off when you get to your seat. And I also, regardless of which side of this debate, I guess we'll call it, that you're on, to be respectful to other people. If you are vaccinated or not, and you're outside and you see somebody wearing a mask, that's their own personal choice. Okay, we understand that, and the same way for the other side. Now, if you're inside and somebody's not wearing a mask, it's not your job to be the mask police. It's not your job to tell them what to do. I just hope that how polarizing all this has been and how one-sided or the other that it's been, that we can at least, respect people and, have a good time while we're at these games, as long as we continue to be able to go.
Yeah, and of course, right now, the worst job in the world would be a security officer at a football stadium. Those are the ones who are going to have to be the mask police. All right, moving on, because we'll have Connor O'Gara coming up in just a moment. I saw ESPN put out their list of the 100 top football players in college right now for the upcoming season. They've got Spencer Rattler number 1. So that to me that would mean that the ESPN staff that put this list together is putting Rattler forward as the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy. I got Derek Stingley Jr. second, Kayvon Thibodeau, the defensive end out of Oregon, third, Evan Neal, offensive tackle, fourth. There's a couple Razorbacks on this list, and Jalen Catalon is not one of them. Traylon Burks listed at number 68, and Grant Morgan is number 88. I would have to say, and again, this is a very exhaustive list. These are they didn't put the writers' names on this list, but it just says ESPN staff. So I mean, this is guys like Tom Luginbill and Tom Van Haren and everybody. I mean, these are guys that know exactly what they're talking about here. I think, and maybe this is my Razorback glasses being put on, I think Jalen Catalon should have to be considered amongst the top 100. I'm not saying he automatically belongs there, but with his ability to hit, with his leadership, with his ball hawking, I think that's one of the best 100 players in college football, and I think by the end of the season, that should be fairly obvious.
Oh, it should be. I think he's due for a great season. And, right now, I think he's probably on the echelon of somewhere between 95 to 105. So, you're not super upset or super hurt that they didn't include him. But I think if they ever redo this list halfway through the season, he's going to be clear-cut in the top 100.
All right, we've got Connor O'Gara coming up after the break here on Halftime from Saturday Down South. Hey, you still got plenty of time to get out pond and creek fishing. Nothing catch bass and bluegill in a pond like the Rebel Crick Hopper. You can twitch it, pop it, walk it, swim it. It's the ultralight fishing lure that looks and acts like a real grasshopper. The Crick Hopper also works great in tandem with light spinning rods and reels with 4 or 6 pound fishing line. You'll find the Rebel Crick Hopper at Walmart, Bass Pro Shops, Academy, LureNet.com, and tackle shops everywhere. The Rebel Crick Hopper from Pradco in Fort Smith. Connor O'Gara talking college football next.
Halftime is brought.
The start of the season is just around the corner, and if you're into sports betting, Bet Online is where you should go to win some money today. Whether it's live bets during games or future bets on who you think will win the championship, Bet Online has all the latest odds, news, and information for all your online sports betting needs. Visit the website today or use your mobile device to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So before the next big game or before the season starts, head on over to Bet Online and start playing today. That's Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. Tommy Kraft here. When it came time for new gates and some fence repairs at my home, the Fence Man was my first call. The Fence Man does it all, from large commercial jobs to small residential repairs. Wood privacy fence, vinyl fence, commercial or residential chain link, even custom wrought iron fencing. 479-782-3936. 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit is now available. If it involves fencing, the Fence Man does it. The Fence Man. He ain't afraid of no work. 479-782-3936.
Now that's a dandy white perch. Big old slab. C'est bon, sacalé.
One beautiful crappie.
It's a paper mouse. Some serious crappie. Nice speck.
We got crappies.
They might go by different names, but all prefer the same thing. Bobby Garland, America's favorite white perch, slab, sockeye, papermouth, crappie, speck, crappie baits.
I call it dinner.
Tanya Tucker said when she died, she may not go to heaven because she didn't know if they let cowboys inside. Psalm 24 answers her question. Only those whose hands and hearts are pure, who do not worship idols and never tell lies. The only one qualified to meet that standard ascended after he died to pay the way for you to go inside. Believing in Jesus means he won't condemn us, and the only alternative will be hotter than Texas. I'm Pastor E from Woodland. Think about it.
The start of the season is just around the corner, and if you're into sports betting, Bet Online is where you should go to win some money today. Whether it's live bets during games or future bets on who you think will win the championship, Bet Online has all the latest odds, news, and information for all your online sports betting needs. Visit the website today or use your mobile device to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So before the next big game or before the season starts, head on over to Bet Online and start playing today. That's Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. Tommy Kraft here. When it came time for new gates and some fence repairs at my home, the Fence Man was my first call. The Fence Man does it all, from large commercial jobs to small residential repairs. Wood privacy fence, vinyl fence, commercial or residential chain link, even custom wrought iron fencing. 479-782-3936. 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit is now available. If it involves fencing, the Fence Man does it. The Fence Man. He ain't afraid of no work. 479-782-3936.
Now that's a dandy white perch. Big old slab. C'est bon, sacalé.
One beautiful crappie.
It's a paper mouse. Some serious crappie. Nice speck.
We got crappies.
They might go by different names, but all prefer the same thing. Bobby Garland, America's favorite white perch, slab, sockeye, papermouth, crappie, speck, crappie baits.
I call it dinner.
Tanya Tucker said when she died, she may not go to heaven because she didn't know if they let cowboys inside. Psalm 24 answers her question. Only those whose hands and hearts are pure, who do not worship idols and never tell lies. The only one qualified to meet that standard ascended after he died to pay the way for you to go inside. Believing in Jesus means he won't condemn us, and the only will be hotter than Texas. I'm Pastor Ethan.
Line AR and on Facebook and Instagram at Hit That Line. Follow the guys on Twitter at Phil Elson PXP, at Matt Travis, and at DBarrett36. Now, back to the guys. Here's Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett.
We missed out on him last week, so we get him this week. It's Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South. And Connor, I don't like the term week 0 because that means you're playing games, and for me it's week 1. But happy week 0, so college football season is upon us, my friend.
It's good to finally be here, and I'll disagree a little bit with the week 0 thing because it gets complicated then if we're calling it week 2 when everybody is opening up, when 98% of the rest of the sport is opening up. So I don't hate it. I don't want to make an exception for all these teams who wanted to play a game in August. By all means, go ahead. Nebraska and Illinois were supposed to be playing in Dublin at this time, so they want to get out ahead of it. That's totally fine, but I'll call it week 0 and just sort of pretend that the real opening weekend of college football is a week from Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I can see your point. I guess when the best game of the weekend is Illinois-Nebraska, 0 probably describes it fairly well. I want to get into, and we couldn't get into it last week, but you've got your crystal ball going, predicting each game for every team in the SEC. And there's a couple of things that stand out here about your predictions for the Arkansas Razorbacks' second year under Sam Pittman. One, you've got them improving to 7-5, still 3 wins in the SEC. 2, an upset over Texas A&M. We have a good friend, Connor. You know him, Ty Richardson. I think he would give his left arm, maybe both arms, for that losing streak to end this year.
I think Ty Richardson would stop taking food pics for the rest of his life if it meant getting a win against A&M this year.
That's a lot to ask. I don't know.
I don't know. Phone eats first. People forget that. I think that's possible this year, and I have A&M controlling its own destiny to the SEC championship and losing a regular season finale game to LSU to prevent them from going to Atlanta. So I'm not down on A&M by any stretch of the imagination. I envision a scenario in which Barry Odom's defense gives a first-time starter at Texas A&M, who I believe will be Haynes King. I think he gives him a lot of problems. And I think not quite to the level of what he did to poor Matt Corral last year in that game, but I think the speed of Arkansas kind of takes Haynes King back a little bit. And he's not quite ready for that type of defense and different things that can be thrown at him. So I think it ends up being a really good back and forth game, kind of a down to the wire game, which has happened plenty of times. I mean, it's kind of amazing to think that 7 of 9 times this game has been decided by, single digits or something like that. I mean, during this streak. So it's not that it's been blowout after blowout like Tennessee and Alabama here that we're talking about, despite the length of this streak. So I think it happens this year, and I think that starting off 4-0 with a win against Texas as well, which kind of buried the lead on that, would put Arkansas in the top 15, maybe even close to the top 10 going into that game against Georgia.
Yeah, and Connor, we'll get back to the SEC, but one thing, since we didn't have you on last week, that I'd wanted to get your opinion on was the news of the alliance between the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12. Do you see this actually being a threat or kind of a wall against the SEC, or is this just a lot of nothing?
It could be a lot of nothing. And in some ways, I get it, and it's kind of their only choice. If you're trying to get power back on your side, if you feel like Greg Sankey is the most powerful person in the room, which he is, and you want to have this alliance to stack the deck in your favor, 41-16, however you want to draw it up, and that's basically assuming the Big 12 ceases to exist. But from that standpoint, it kind of makes sense. And I get why they're doing it from a scheduling standpoint, kind of do your own thing. You build up your own strength, your own rivalries, all that stuff. That's well and good. But the issue is if they're really trying to delay the playoff expansion, that's just stupid. That is a backwards school of thought, in my opinion, when you're trying to figure out the best ways to get your teams into the field, and you're the conferences that have struggled to do that. I mean, we're talking about, the Big Ten has been left out multiple times. The Pac-12 hasn't been there in 5 years. And then the ACC has been Clemson and everyone else since 2015. So what are you really doing here by delaying playoff expansion just to show the SEC, we'll get you? The SEC's fine. The SEC doesn't need playoff expansion. It's been there every single year. The SEC has won 4 of the 7 titles during the playoff era. So it's ridiculous to think that they're going to somehow slow down the SEC's power by delaying playoff expansion. To me, they're just hurting themselves by doing that.
It's kind of interesting, too, when you see about these 3 leagues there. All 3 of them have either brand new commissioners or, in the terms of the Big Ten commissioner, a guy that's been there for a little more than a year and hasn't been getting very good reviews. You mentioned about Greg Sankey, and I thought maybe a month and a half ago we'd start referring to him as the most powerful person in college sports. And I'm not saying that the ACC, Pac-12, and Big Ten are all being run in an inorganized way, but I mean, right now these leagues are all trying to find out what's the future for them, while they have commissioners that are still trying to figure out how to do this job. And for the SEC, it's just bigger and stronger and the most powerful person in college sports running the show.
I think Sankey's still that guy too. I think this is them kind of looking around and, George Kliavkoff, Kevin Warren, and then Jim Phillips looking around going, we might need each other during this whole deal with expansion, and maybe it'd be in our best interest to kind of step, stride by stride next to each other instead of trying to go up against Greg Sankey, who clearly is playing chess while the rest of us are playing checkers. What's the point of doing that? And if you're one of those leagues, you're hoping that maybe by having this brand, you're able to kind of recruit to that, and you're able to schedule that and kind of build that up in a different sort of way. And that takes a new meaning when you get to those negotiation tables for a TV deal. But I still think the SEC is going to be extremely powerful. And with Texas and Oklahoma coming on board, I think that happens next year. You're going to look around at the landscape of college football and still say, well, the cream of the crop is in the South, and winning 11 of 15 national championships and controlling the NFL draft every single year is proof of that. So I don't think that there's any denying that the SEC is still going to be a force.
I don't know if I saw your predictions for Georgia in the upcoming season, and maybe you're waiting for them to figure out what the injury situation is like before you put your predictions out there, especially for the Clemson game. Now, that's not a game that decides whether or not Georgia is a national championship contender, because you go through the SEC, and that'll certainly make that decision. But it's a huge game, and right now it just feels like everybody talks about JT Daniels is the answer. Who's he throwing to? And I know their starting center's been nicked up. Georgia right now is beat up in a way that I haven't read about any other SEC team.
Yeah, the fall camp has not been kind to Georgia. And ironically enough, you mentioned that, Phil, and I've got my Georgia crystal ball open right now. I'm currently about halfway through it. That's going to come out tomorrow. So procrastinating a little bit on that maybe. But I think that you bring up a good point. And I had Georgia losing to Clemson before we found out about everything that was happening in fall camp with all these lower body injuries to pass-catching options. I mean, the Darnell Washington news might not look significant to those on the outside to say, well, the guy really didn't make much of an impact in true freshman last year. The guy was taking off in spring camp and was somebody that was going to have a much bigger role in this offense as a year 2 tight end. And you kind of look around and you're like, well, JT Daniels still could have Kyrus Jackson and Jermaine Burton back, Dominique Blaylock coming back for the season opener, but it's reps. It's reps in fall camp. Those are so important. And I don't think we can take that for granted when it comes to getting on the same page, because JT Daniels showed up at Georgia in summer last year, and he didn't have that multi-month off season where he was able to get on the same page because he was rehabbing his own knee injury. So I think you look at some of those factors and you kind of scratch your head and you wonder, man, against Brent Venables and this defense, which returns 9 starters, that is asking a lot of this Georgia passing game, which has some new pieces on it, and who knows what's going to happen with Derek Gilbert and that whole saga. But, yeah, if I were picking Georgia, I would be a little bit more nervous about that going into this one.
Connor, as you've been doing your crystal ball predictions, you've been going through the schedule, game by game, picking W's and L's. And when you do that, you go in with the mentality of, well, at least I have before when I've done it, of, all right, we're not going to be extremely chalky, or I feel like I'm gonna really love on this team. And then you start going through it, and then by the time you're done, you're like, that went the completely opposite way that I thought it was going to go. Has there been a team that before you started, you're like, all right, it's the big bump up, I'm going all in on them, and then when it's all said and done, you're like, it's the same as last year?
Yeah, I've had a few of those. Kentucky was one of them. I know a lot of people are saying in the preseason they think Kentucky can be, maybe second in the East, and they're going to overtake Florida. And then I kind of break it down, and I think about how much they could struggle in the first part of SEC play with that new offense, figuring out what Liam Cohen is going to be able to try and build. I just don't think that they have the receivers quite yet to run that system successfully. So I have them getting off to a really rough start in SEC play. But yeah, until you actually go through and break all of it down, like anybody can throw out a record, but until you actually have to go through the entire conference and
put pen
break
to paper.
down, well, exactly. That is so difficult. And a team like Auburn, you would never predict Auburn to go 5-7, right? If you were just looking at that from the onset, you'd say, okay, even if I'm not a huge Brian Harsin guy, I still think that Auburn, going to be one of those 7-8 win teams, whatever. And then you kind of go through and you're like, man, but everybody else in the West looks like they're improving. And if Auburn is getting worse, how are they going to be able to get to 7-8 wins? Not everybody can win 7-8 games. So I have Auburn going 2-6 in SEC play, finishing last in the division. And I think to a lot of people, Auburn fans specifically, they looked at that and they're like, what are you talking about, man? And I would question them and I would say, look, go through the schedule. It's brutal, man. I think the West is going to be awesome this year. There's not any of those kind of pushover type games in this league, and it's going to be reminiscent of 2014. And Auburn is probably going to be the team that sort of bears the brunt of all that. And I think it's just going to be a rough year one for Brian Harsin.
And I felt like when the coaches poll came out a few weeks ago, I don't think the coaches, any of them, were going by, well, here's what your schedule looks like. They're going by personnel, what they know of the personnel. Right. I mean, but that's how you end up getting 7 schools in the SEC that were either ranked or getting votes. And that just, that's pretty much, you can't do that by 2 weeks or 3 weeks into the season.
Right, but here's the thing that always frustrates me about preseason polls is that you shouldn't be doing it based on schedule. You should be doing it based on the team that you think is going to be on the field tomorrow. And I hate it when we look and we say, oh, well, this team's going to go 11-1, so I'm going to put them at number 5 or number 6 in the country. That was Texas A&M last year, and I hated that. I'm like, look, Texas A&M played 300 minutes of football against teams that finished in the top 15 of the AP poll in 2019, and they led for 7 minutes and 42 seconds. There's no way that team was starting off as a top 10 team in the country, and they didn't look like it in the first part. Now, they figured things out, and A&M did a 180, and they became a much, much better team, and they deserved all the praise that they got. But preseason rankings matter because they sell tickets, and they determine where you start. For a team like Cincinnati, who's starting off at number 8 in the country, first group of 5 team in the playoff era to start off in the top 10, that is significant, and that matters to a team like that. So I think that preseason rankings, yeah, they're fun for discussion, but you actually have to take them somewhat seriously because they do determine a lot of this perception, and it's much easier to rise if you're a team that's already starting off in the top 25.
Connor, we're up against a break, but I do want to get this in real quick as we are in week 0, and the big matchup is Nebraska-Illinois, and the cartoonish stupidity of Scott Frost and a lot of college coaches that we've seen over the last few years. It's just hit Nebraska. Is this the first game of Scott Frost's career at Nebraska?
It feels like it. And look, I spent 2.5 years out in Nebraska. I don't know if I've said that on these airwaves, but I spent time. I lived 20 minutes from where Scott Frost grew up in Wood River, Nebraska, and I know he's a god out there. Trust me when I say that. And to watch the way that this has played out, where now this isn't so much about having off-campus workouts during COVID, different than what Arizona State was trying to pull off, where they're having people in their facilities, recruits and whatnot. This is about, it looks like there's somebody important there that doesn't like it. Bill Moose, the athletic director who hired him, is gone. Very surprisingly so. That happened a few months ago. It looks like they're trying to get out of a way of paying that $20 million buyout. And in a place like, you've seen it at Tennessee, at Kansas, and these places where they'll try and pay, they'll try and get out of that buyout by firing a coach with cause. And this is kind of starting to look like that. So, yeah, I would not be surprised at all if this is the last first game for Scott Frost, unless things turn around drastically this year.
Connor, we'll let you go, man. Appreciate you. Good to get back. And, hey, by next week, maybe we'll talk Nebraska, Illinois. I don't know. We'll probably talk more about the SEC games that are coming up on week 1.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Let's do it. Looking forward to it.
Okay.
Appreciate it, Connor.
Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South, is back on Twitter. That is right, at CJ O'Gara. And a really good follow for you to get a look at. 877-377-6963 is the number for halftime. Connor's our only guest today, so if you got anything to say, you can call or text us. Perhaps you saw that Dawn Everly passed away over the weekend at age 84, of the Everly Brothers. And they were big influences on the Beatles and the Beach Boys, amongst many other artists, even some that still are performing today. And the Everly Brothers despised each other. We'll get into that next.
Are you in need of roofing repairs or maybe more? Construction Master Roofing, who has been under new management since 2019 with over 25 years of experience, is who you need to call. Estimates are free, and military, first responders, and medical workers receive 5% off. Construction Master Roofing guarantees their work, and the number you need to call is 648-8888 in the River Valley, and in Oklahoma, call 918-859-4714. Construction Master Roofing, the roofing company that cares and gets the job done.
Joe's Grill and Cantina is the only place to watch the Hogs. Watch every game at Joe's. Enjoy half-price apps and taps during the game. And with TVs all around the restaurant, you'll have a front row seat. Half-price appetizers like brisket nachos, Mexican pizza, 10-layer dip, or Joe's humongous sampler platter. All half price. And all beers on tap are half price. Watch every Hog game at Joe's. Half-price apps and taps during every Hog game at Joe's Grill and Cantina. 3400 South 74th Street across from Harps. Have you been looking for your next place to call home and just haven't found the right one? Then it's time to check out the properties at Trinity Multifamily. With a variety of apartments, duplexes, townhomes, and houses, there is surely one to fit your needs. Whether it's in the River Valley, Northwest Arkansas, or Central Arkansas that you are looking at, they have you covered. Give them a call today. Trinity Multifamily, 479-452-1817. That's 479-452-1817. Or online at trinitymultifamily.com to search rental properties near you.
With over 40 years combined experience, the team at the law offices of Craig L. Cook understand the definition of work. Real work. Working for you. Whether you've been injured in an auto accident, on the job, a victim of nursing home negligence, or need help navigating bankruptcy, Social Security, wills, trusts, estates, or family law issues, Craig Cook will go to work for you. Call us today, 479-783-8000. The law offices of Craig L. Cook, with locations in Arkansas and Oklahoma. We work for working people.
For more than 80 years, Forsgren Inc. has been building the foundations of the River Valley and beyond. Forsgren, a destination point for men and women with a drive toward excellence, is now hiring experienced dump truck drivers. CDL Class A or B license with medical card is required. Apply now from any mobile device at forsgreninc.com. A heritage company and a premier employer. Forsgren offers top wages and benefits. Apply today at forsgreninc.com. Become part of the Forsgren legacy. Apply now on any device at forsgreninc.com. Forsgren Incorporated is an equal opportunity employer.
Hi, this is Melissa with True Grit Running Company. Each day we see familiar faces who have supported us from the beginning because they see the benefits of an active lifestyle. We're also always meeting new customers who are taking their first steps towards making running or walking a part of daily life. We have the opportunity to share in their successes and help them achieve their goals. The people of Fort Smith and the River Valley are why we believe we were voted one of the best running stores in America. Visit us and see how we can help you. True Grit Running Company, 6808 Rogers Avenue, Suite B, behind Chick-fil-A.
NWA Gold and Silver has moved to a new location in Fort Smith at 4600 Rogers Avenue across from Med Express. NWA Gold and Silver is always buying gold and silver, scrap, bullion, and coins. Plus, NWA Gold and Silver buys and sells jewelry of all kinds. Diamond rings, wedding bands, engagement rings, earrings, and more. Bring in your gold or silver today to the people that pay the most and have the best deals. NWA Gold and Silver in their new location at 4600 Rogers Avenue across from Med Express in Fort Smith.
Papa's Pub and Pizzeria is stepping up its bourbon selection. They now have E.H. Taylor, Angel Envy, Buffalo Trace, Bullet Rye, and Breckenridge, plus the same great pizza that you've come to know over the years. Give them a call at 479-783-9941 or check them out at papaspub.com. Stop in tonight for one of their new bourbons at 508 Garrison Avenue in downtown Fort Smith. Papa's Pub and Pizzeria, the best darn pizza in Fort Smith, perhaps the world.
This is ESPN 95.3. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett. The Morning Rush, Halftime, Ruskin and Zach, Fantasy Football Sunday, and all available on the Hit That Line Podcast Network. Just type Hit That Line wherever you listen to podcasts. Our podcasts are on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, hitthatline.com, Anchor, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Google Play.
Sweet sound of the Everly Brothers, Don and Phil. Phil had passed away in 2014. Don died over the weekend, age 84. Bye-Bye Love. I still remember that movie, or at least parts of it. That would have been from the mid-'90s. Paul Reiser was in it. I think it was a group of divorced dads that took their kids to McDonald's. Like, it was actually a commercial. It was a movie commercial for McDonald's. It's called Bye-Bye Love, and this, of course, would have been the theme song of it. Did you know these brothers just despised each other? I had no clue. It's not like I know much about the Everly Brothers' history until I started reading up on them over the weekend, but they hated each other.
I was about to say, Phil, would it surprise you that I did not know who they were when you put them on the rundown early this morning?
No, you know the song? You've heard the song, right?
I've heard this song before, yes. But if you could have given me 1,000 guesses, I never would have guessed.
Well, they influenced a lot of rock and rollers that grew into popularity in the 60s and the 70s, and that's sort of like when they petered out, but they were still an act, even though they hated each other. So, I mean, in reading about them, even in 1970, before their famous blow-up on stage at Knott's Berry Farm in California, Don was quoted as saying, "We've only ever had one argument. It's been lasting for 25 years." And I think at that point, I think at that point they were not that far away from being 25 years old. I don't think they liked each other from birth. I read quotes from the two of them about what it was like to grow up with each other. They just did not like each other. But
so why go into business with each other? Why start a band?
Well, because they grew up together as singing partners.
I wonder if they were pushed into it by their parents.
Like maybe. The Jackson 5?
Like the dad. Because even the Beach Boys were like that. You know, they had a controlling father that was making them make music, you know.
No, the dad was as Ike, and he also was a performer in Nashville. So, yes, I think they sort of grew up in the music scene, and, they realized that they did make beautiful music together, even if they didn't make a beautiful relationship together. So I read about the story where they broke up on stage in California at Knott's Berry Farm, which, Maddie reminds me, is one of the happier places on earth, a family amusement park. Don showed up smashed and mangled the song lyrics to one of their famous songs, Kathy's Clown, which, by the way, is a song that they fought over the ownership of the lyrics for 45 years, even to the point where Don was in court against Phil's heirs over ownership of the song. So the dislike for each other even expanded to their kids.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So they blow up on stage. Phil is not the drunk one. He fires down his guitar and screams into the mic, the Everly Brothers died 10 years ago. And then they didn't see each other for 10 years. They reformed in 84 and even put out albums that were still well received, but they disliked each other so much, they wouldn't even perform together in the studio. And
they had to record separately on different tracks.
They were known for their harmony, for crying out loud. Usually harmony is best performed,
together
with the person that you're singing with.
That's
they hated each other so much, they couldn't even be in the same room. When they would be interviewed, I read an interview that Kurt Loder did in Rolling Stone in 1984 about the Everly Brothers. They refused to even sit down together for an interview. They had to be interviewed one at a time.
And for Drew, Kurt Loder was the face of MTV News. MTV used to have news about music.
I was just going to let that one pass.
Yeah.
Like, of course, yes,
Kurt Loder. The great Kurt Loder.
Of course, as one knows. Yeah. But I just don't understand how you can hate your brother and someone like this. I mean, yeah, me and my older brother, we had some scraps. We had some arguments. But at the end of the day, we both know we love each other. We still talk, and I'm actually going to bring my brother up as one of my ups here at the top of the next hour. So like, I don't understand that type of hate for somebody, especially somebody that's supposed to be a lifelong friend.
They say never get into business with family.
Yeah, but then every once in a while you don't have a choice because you realize you're just not as good solo as you were with the other guy. You know, they even went on a tour with Simon and Garfunkel, like a reunion tour.
And those guys got together perfectly.
Right, and those guys got along better than the brothers did. So that even Paul Simon remarked they've met again for the first time in years in the parking lot before the first show. Like, they didn't even get together for rehearsals. When the tour was over, they went their separate ways and never spoke to each other. So this kind of goes in the same category as the brothers from Oasis, the Gallagher brothers, Noel and Liam. They hate each other. They will never play together again. Never. The Everly Brothers would be different. And Dear Abby and Ann Landers, the famous advice columnists, were feuding sisters, twin sisters. Yeah, there used to be these things called advice columns, Drew.
Where you wrote into the newspaper?
But there used to be these things called newspapers.
Tell me of yesteryear.
Right, that's exactly right. Yeah, and so the people would actually write letters to them. It wasn't emails, and it couldn't be posted on any social media because this was social media, writing a letter to somebody and then posting a column about your problems and how to solve it. Those sisters despised each other, too.
Yeah.
Brotherly, sisterly love, it doesn't always exist.
Someone's got to be the bigger person. Live and let live, right?
Well, when you work together, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult. You just want to get away from that person's stupid face sometimes.
And I get that. Having an older brother, I get it, but I still love him, and he still loves me.
That's why I like doing this show in a different city than you guys. Ooh.
Ooh. Ow.
Ooh.
Ugh. That one hurt.
He says things he does not mean occasionally to just crack a bad joke. All right, halftime back after the break. Got 3 up, 3 down.
Riley Farm Dental at the entrance to Riley Farms provides every type of dental care and procedures for you and your family. From general dentistry, braces, implants, and cosmetics, Dr. Bo Sparkman and Dr. Brogan give all of their patients better lives with a better smile, more confidence, and a comfortable experience every time. Riley Farm Dental, 5901 Riley Park Drive, Suite A, at the entrance to Riley Farms. Call 226-3500 for an appointment or visit RileyFarmDental.com.
Fridays is bringing a world of flavor to your table. Come by your locally owned TGI Fridays at I-540 and Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith and explore new appetizers and cocktails inspired by Fridays around the world. New appetizers like Wing Around the World and the Potato Skin Passport. Check out our new ultimate cocktails like the Double Berry Mojito. Stop in or order online for convenient curbside pickup at Fridays.com. Come taste a world of flavor at your locally owned TGI Fridays at I-540 and Rogers in Fort Smith.
The Fence Man, the company you can trust when it comes to building quality fencing and gates, is growing and looking for quality people to join the Fence Man team. If you are a fence builder or have building experience or you have welding skills, apply in person at 1213 North 32nd Street in Fort Smith. The Fence Man offers great pay, health, dental, and vision benefits. Join the top fence building team in the state. The Fence Man. Apply today in person. The Fence Man is an equal opportunity employer.
Why do I run? Is it because I'm driven? Because I love the challenge? God, no. I do it for the beer. If you're the kind of runner who does it for the beer, this summer you can get one on us with the Michelob Ultra Beer Run. Grab your run buddies and get out there because this summer there's beer at the finish line. Sign up at ultrabeerrun.com and trade your miles for beer.
The wave has arrived in the Coal Hill Zone, and that includes Altus, Coal Hill, Hunt, and other surrounding communities. Visit signup.waveruralconnect.com or call 1-833-4WAVE-RC to get signed up now. Blazing fast fiber services based in Ozark. Internet starting at $49.95, TV at $32.95, and phone service $29.95 a month. Order now for the Coal Hill Zone, Arkansas Valley Electric, and Wave Rural Connect, changing the communities we serve.
ESPN Arkansas weather.
for today. Sunny, hot, and humid. Our high this afternoon right around the middle 90s. The slight chance of seeing a shower with thunderstorm across the north. Tonight, mainly clear, low to mid 70s. And then tomorrow, sunshine, highs in the middle to upper 90s. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
Listen to Halftime with Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett. Weekdays from 11 to 1.
Proceed.
KERX Paris Fort Smith. This is Halftime, coming at you from the Busch Light Studios on ESPN 95.3.
It's what I always listen to.
Live from the Busch Light Studios.
I love Arkansas. I love everything here. Give me that thing here.
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
And this one belongs to the Razorbacks.
Streaming live from
HitThatLine.com.
Go crazy at Bob Walker. Go nuts.
This is Halftime with Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious...
Your Razorbacks are 2021 SEC champions. And Baum Walker Stadium is an insane asylum.
I have been waiting for this moment for a long time.
Judging by the sound of it, so has everyone else.
Hey, hold on. It's almost halftime.
Into the second hour of halftime here. No guests, just you and us. You can join us if you want. We'll put you on 877-377-6963.
You have to pass the screening process first.
You have the tough Matty T screening
I've got
process.
a list of questions I'm going to ask you.
Halftime, what's your name?
That's the first question.
What's the second question?
What does it take to get past you, Matty T? You're like the dogs that guard the river Styx.
Well, the big thing, the hurdle you have to jump over first is you have to have a name and you have to tell it to me.
Okay, that's step one.
Then step two is do you have a place where you are calling from?
Okay, and step three?
Can you hold on?
All right.
There you go. 3 questions.
Tough challenges, but...
One for each head of the dog who's, I think, was named Cerberus that guards the river Styx.
Or the, the wizard or the guy that guards the bridge in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. What is your name?
I'm more like a troll
What
that,
is
a
your
troll
quest?
on a bridge.
What is your favorite color? Blue, no green.
That's right. Good one. I'm so glad that we've got a co-host that knows the Monty Python movies.
Seen them all, and I've seen every episode of Flying Circus.
Wow.
Love Monty Python.
I never got the British humor.
You're ahead of me in the Flying Circus thing.
Flying Circus, my favorite,
episodes.
my two favorite. If for anybody out there who's a Monty Python super fan, the Department of Silly Walk.
Yeah, I love
is
the
my
Silly
favorite
Walks.
one, and then the I'd like to have an argument. Skit
I like how you
good.
used your British accent in one of those 2 skits. Only you realized how bad it was when
the
you tried to break it
Department
out.
of Silly Walk. Sir, I cannot give you a certificate. Your walk is simply not silly enough.
Kevin Costner is better with a British accent than you.
That's why I'm not the Cosners. I'm not the Cos.
Let's go to the phones here. What were we talking about in the last segment? Brothers that hate each other, the Everly Brothers and the Gallagher Brothers and guys like that. Eddie in Clarksville is on with us here. And you know we don't just throw Eddie on the air anymore. We bring up one of the topics on the show before the Hog Train and Hog Delight starts getting thrown around. So, Eddie, my question for you is there a sibling in Clarksville?
I'm afraid not, sir. Siblings of Eddie from Clarksville, God help that gentleman.
They broke them
up.
That was going to be my next statement. It wasn't going to be a question. It was just going to be a statement.
Well, is there a sibling in Clarksville?
For you, that was my question.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Do you have a brother or sister? And if so, was there a rivalry? But you said you didn't have any, so I guess the
Oh,
only
okay.
rivalry
I got your question
is-
now. I'm
is
sorry.
with
Yes, I have an older sister, sir. She's back where I grew up in Benton, and the Benton area, the Haskell, outside the outskirts of Benton. She's not a Hawk fan, but I love her just the same.
Now, that was going to be my next
Totally
question, Eddie, because I can't imagine. I
haven't
really
shared
can't
the Hog
imagine.
Delight.
I really can't imagine you having 100% love for somebody that does not take in the taste of Hog Delight on a week-by-week basis, but I guess your older sister would be the 1%.
Well, sir, I have some nieces that have become the fans of their uncle from Eddie from Clarksville, and so that just kind of offsets it a little bit. they love their Uncle Eddie, and they love to listen to me on the radio.
As so many other people do as well. What's your topic today, Eddie?
I'm just calling in, sir, to celebrate. I woke up this morning, I could hear the bells ringing. I could hear in the distance the whistle blowing on a hump train. And as I listened to Coach Pittman on the pit trail last night, he is energized. He is, and I feel this team is going to be better than expected this year. And so for the fan base, I'm celebrating my 49th season as a Hawk fan. I punched my ticket in 1971 at War Memorial Stadium. And my first game was against Texas. And we beat them that afternoon 31-0. I've never gotten off the Hawk train. I know this fan base. I'm just calling to say Eddie is ready. I'm asking Coach Pittman and all the coaches, I know you're ready. I'm asking these players, are you ready?
Eddie, let me ask you this, Eddie, because there's a couple of guys I want to know if they're really ready, because I feel they might be ready to step up into, I don't know if you say starring roles, but pretty darn important roles. And the more I read, and I've been into a couple of practices here and there, and I've been impressed watching Raheem Rocket Sanders with that size as a true freshman, with the burst that he seems to have, and Keytron Jackson is getting a lot of, and again, it's reviews from the coaching staff, so I'm not quite sure what to buy sometimes, but I am incredibly excited about, I'd say, Raheem Rocket Sanders first and Keytron Jackson second. What say you?
Well, sir, what does rocket mean? That means you got speed. And we hadn't had a player to possess that kind of talent that if you miss a tackle, he's going to take it to the house, says Joe Adams. So I'm ready. I'm ready for Keytron Jackson. I'm ready for other players to step up and make a big impact on this football program this year. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
I agree. And I appreciate you listening to our show, Eddie. As always, thank you very much, and God bless your sister, everyone. Jason in Frankfurt has called up halftime. Jason, got to ask you the same question. Brother, sister, get along or no?
Yeah, I have a brother. He's back in Saline County. He's in Bryant. We get along. He was young enough to where there wasn't really a strong rivalry there. We were about 4 years apart. So, but on that note, many people don't know this, but the actor that played Roscoe P. Coltrane from the Dukes of Hazzard is a first cousin of the Everlys. And he came back. The governor of Kentucky loved the Dukes of Hazzard. Roscoe, or James Best, was from Kentucky. He brought him back here for a birthday party here in Frankfurt. And so I was at this party, and I got over and got a chance to ask Mr. Best a question. He was in his 80s. And I said, "Is there ever is the rivalry real?" I asked him about that about Don and Phil, and he looked at me square in the face. He said, "We have a family reunion every year for the Everlys, but they never come the same year. They work it out to where one comes one year, one comes the next. It's just they hate each other." That's the term he used, he told me a few other stories, but that was the one that was like, man, I can't imagine not at least being able to be in the same space. But apparently it's legit. And when you all brought that up, that's just what came to mind. So go Hogs. I don't have the energy of Eddie, but man, hopefully he brings that to game day and those guys play up to his level. Y'all take care.
Jason, I appreciate your phone call,
Thanks,
and I also appreciate that you and Eddie are on the opposite extremes of our callers. Like, you are the calmest caller that really comes on here, bordering on boring, I'd say in a joking way. Eddie would be the opposite, bordering on a little bit crazy, maybe.
I've been called an energy vampire.
Well, at least you embrace it, I feel like.
Energy vampire.
Yeah, I guess so.
I like that. Well, appreciate you sucking the energy out of the show then, Jason, as always. Thank you so much for your call.
Hey, Jason.
It's great. I always would go to, like, my favorite of the rivalries of people that just could not stand each other was, and again, this is going a long time back. It's a famous double play combination from the great Chicago Cubs of the 1900s. Tinker to Evers to Chance.
Yes, I know of this, and I actually have a family connection.
Well, these guys hated each other.
Them.
Like, they didn't speak either. They were a double play Think of how the connection has to be, an unsaid connection between double play combination, especially playing the game then in 1905, 1906, where, let's just put it mildly, these guys were sharpening their cleats to open some holes in the second baseman's leg. And you have to trust a man who you despise to not put you in a position that you're going to have your leg broken. Like, that's trust and hatred at the same time.
It is a lot of trust. And I'm 99% sure I'm not telling tales out of school or blowing smoke out my behind here, but I'm pretty sure I'm related to Evers in some way or another through my dad's side of the family. I'd have to get his perspective on that to 100% explain it all, but exactly, to have that type of teamwork and that type of combination and to truly hate each other and not even to hide it. There's these rivalries, these hatreds between teammates where it's all in the locker room. It's all behind doors. And out front, hey, we're teammates. We're going to go out there and win. I'm going to do my best. You're going to do your best. But with those guys, it was out in the open. Everyone knew, and you could tell that they hated each other.
And then sometimes in sports it bubbles out to where fans can see it, or these days the cameras can see it. Like who that was a big baseball fan 15 years ago doesn't remember Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent going at it in the dugout? I mean, was it Bonds that put Kent up against the wall or the other way around? I would have liked to have been around some of the arguments that Kobe and Shaq had in practice. It would have been pretty interesting to see. And then,
Michael versus everybody, that we got to see in The Last Dance.
Yeah, and I thought about this recently with the Untold story on Netflix about the Malice in the Palace. The way that a lot of those teammates on the Pacers thought about Ron Artest. Like this dude is crazy.
Yeah.
But he was too good, to really have another feeling about it until things bubbled over the top. Mark in Springdale has called us here at halftime. Mark, what's going on?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing well, Mark.
Lovely.
Well, I heard y'all talking about how the Everly brothers hated each other, and I did know that, was it the Gallagher brothers from, I can't remember the name of the band. Anyway, they hated each other
Oasis.
Too. Oasis. There you go. I could never understand that. Me and my sister are real close. I have a brother that passed away almost 8 years ago, and I would say if anybody's having one of those moments where they don't want to talk to their sibling, go ahead and do it. Because me and my brother always had our ups and downs, but man, you never want to just not ever talk. I could never understand that. To me, that's a little crazy. For that, it shows a little lack of maturity if you're never going to talk to somebody again. But anyway, and gotta say, the contrast between the last two callers is just as fantastic as it could be.
It's high and low.
Eddie's nuts, and the guy before, he sounds like he's, going to tell you about, the tax issues you're having. I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. You'll have a good one.
You got it, Mark. And
Mark.
He was the Goldilocks. He was right there in the middle. He was just perfect between.
Mark was good, but the guy before him sounded like my old geology teacher. The only professor I ever fell asleep in a class with.
Fry. All right, well, let's take the break. Halftime's brought to you by the Fence Man. If it comes time for gates and fence repairs at your house, you need to have the Fence Man as your first call. They do everything, not just the large commercial jobs, also small residential repairs, stuff like wood privacy fence, vinyl fence, commercial or residential chain link, or custom wrought iron fencing. The Fence Man is the only one to call. So write it down, 479-782-3936 for the Fence Man, and make sure to ask about 18 months, same as cash financing. If it involves fencing, the Fence Man does it. 479-782-3936. The Fence Man, he ain't afraid of no work. 3 up, 3 down coming next on Halftime.
Razorback football is back.
Burks is going to score. Football. The Hawks have tied for the goal line. Touchdown, Arkansas.
Call those Hawks.
You know, the start of the season is just around the corner, and if you're into sports betting, Bet Online is where you should go to win some money today. Whether it's live bets during games or future bets on who you think will win the championship, Bet Online has all the latest odds, news, and information for all your online sports betting needs. Visit the website today or use your mobile device to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So before the next big game or before the season starts, head on over to Bet Online and start playing today. That's Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. Tommy Kraft here. When it came time for new gates and some fence repairs at my home, the Fence Man was my first call. The Fence Man does it all, from large commercial jobs to small residential repairs. Wood privacy fence, vinyl fence, commercial or residential chain link, even custom wrought iron fencing. 479-782-3936. 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit is now available. If it involves fencing, the Fence Man does it. The Fence Man. He ain't afraid of no work. 479-782-3936.
Now that's a dandy white perch.
Big old slab. C'est bon, sacalé.
One beautiful crappie.
It's a paper mouse.
Some serious crappie. Nice speck.
We got crappies.
They might go by different names, but all prefer the same thing. Bobby Garland, America's favorite white perch, slab, sockeye, papermouth, crappie, speck, crappie baits.
I call it dinner.
Tanya Tucker said when she died, she may not go to heaven because she didn't know if they let cowboys inside. Psalm 24 answers her question. Only those whose hands and hearts are pure, who do not worship idols and never tell lies. The only one qualified to meet that standard ascended after he died to pay the way for you to go inside. Believing in Jesus means he won't condemn us, and the only will be hotter than Texas. I'm Pastor E from Woodland. Think about it.
You know, the start of the season is just around the corner, and if you're into sports betting, Bet Online is where you should go to win some money today. Whether it's live bets during games or future bets on who you think will win the championship.
Fishing brands is the Bobby Garland Baby Shad. We make them by the millions in our facility in Fort Smith, and the Baby Shad is without a doubt the #1 soft plastic crappie lure in the U.S. Fish it on a light jig head or underneath a float, and you'll find it's as productive as live bait. Available at Walmart, Bass Pro Shops, Academy, LureNet.com, and tackle stores all over the place. The Bobby Garland Baby Shad.
The Fence Man, the company you can trust when it comes to building quality fencing and gates, is growing and looking for quality people to join the Fence Man team. If you are a fence builder or have building experience or you have welding skills, apply in person at 1213 North 32nd Street in Fort Smith. The Fence Man offers great pay, health, dental, and vision benefits. Join the top fence building team in the state. The Fence Man. Apply today in person. The Fence Man is an equal opportunity employer.
The Wave has arrived in the Coal Hill Zone, and that includes Altus, Coal Hill, Hunt, and other surrounding communities. Visit signup.waveruralconnect.com or call 1-833-4WAVE-RC to get signed up now. Blazing fast fiber services based in Ozark. Internet starting at $49.95, TV at $32.95, and phone service $29.95 a month. Order now for the Coal Hill Zone, Arkansas Valley Electric, and Wave Rural Connect, changing the communities we serve.
This is ESPN 95.3.
Hey, City!
It's a big job just getting by with 9 kids and a wife. But I've been
This is Halftime with Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett.
Appreciate the text coming in. When you talk about sibling rivalries, people start to get into that a little bit. And I also have one of my great ideas. I have so many really great, in parentheses, awful ideas.
The best ideas, yes.
I think we need to do a segment at some point. Maybe we can turn it into a weekly podcast of Jason in Frankfurt interviewing Eddie from Clarksville.
That would be phenomenal. I think that everybody would sign up for that. But the thing is, we're going to have, we talked about this earlier, you're going to have a mute button for Eddie because he's not going to interrupt. He seems like too nice of a guy.
He's got a lot to say.
Jason's just too nice of a guy.
Jason's way too nice to interrupt, that's for sure. And, the thing about having the proper partners is you do not want the person you're working with on radio to have the same personality as you or to
No.
have the same voice as you. So I think in that case, we'd have some pretty diverging personalities and sounds of the voice with Jason.
Oh, for sure.
And Eduardo. Andy in Bentonville gets to, and this is one of the all-time great musical rivalries. They weren't brothers, but Eddie Van Halen and David Lee Roth hated each other to the point where I know that they had toured before Eddie passed away, even like as early as maybe like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, but they still hated each other. They still, and it goes back a long, long time. Otherwise, Sammy Hagar, you would have never had Van Hagar. It would have been Van Halen as you know it. But the fact that they hated each other so much was a big reason why.
Well,
Tommy in Mountain Home, and I wonder if Tommy fits in the rest of the listeners here. How many of you would like Eddie in Clarksville to give the pregame speech before the Texas game?
Love it. If he can't get into the locker room to give the speech himself personally, at least let him do the voiceover for like the big social media video, the hype up video that comes out Thursday or Friday that gets everybody ready. At least let him do that.
Other text coming through. Brandon in Paris asked about Landon Rogers moving to tight end, incoming freshman. He was signed as a quarterback and moving to tight end. I think what that says, I mean, they were trying a couple of guys there. Rogers, one of them, Dominique Johnson, the other. Neither came in as a tight end. Johnson's a running back who might have that tight end size. Looks like Johnson is back at running back now, but Landon Rogers made the move, and it sounded like he views it as, I think for him, an opportunity to play moving forward. Maybe not this year. He's got to bulk up, but I don't think he would have made much noise at quarterback. And so with that size, he's like 6'4", about 210, 215 pounds, put a little more bulk on there. He's got that size and the athleticism I think that you'd like as a tight end. So I think it means two things. One, obviously, Sam Pittman and Dowell Loggins were looking for added depth to the tight end position, and that does that in some cases. But it also means he wasn't going to break through as a quarterback. Let's see, other texts to come through here. JT in Hot Springs likes that you didn't know who Dear Abby or Ann Landers were. Advice column. I feel like this show should be the best advice column in Arkansas.
I feel like it is.
Are there any real advice columns in newspapers anymore?
Phil, there used to be advice radio used to be a thing. I remember listening to Dr. Laura.
Oh, is that when you like relationship advice?
Yeah, and so they even made the movie Sleepless in Seattle based on advice radio shows.
We could give advice for like one segment a week if y'all wanted to call and get our input on it.
Honey, kick that guy to the curb. He's not worth it.
It might not be the best advice, but it's advice. We're not advertising the good advice, the right advice. We're just advertising advice.
My favorite advice show was Love Lines. And
With
not the show
Dr.
that you
Drew
saw.
And Adam Carolla.
I mean the radio show, not the one that was on MTV.
Well, they could get away with being raunchy because it was under the guise of medical advice. So
Dr. Drew was a thing before MTV?
Before that was a TV show, it was a radio program. And so I remember you hearing graphic sexual descriptions on the radio at 10 o'clock at night.
I think it was a lot of things today.
It was comedic and informative all at the same time.
Yeah,
and yes, cringe-inducing depending on what phone call you were listening to. But I always thought that was such an interesting combination of Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew. Mm-hmm. I mean, two fairly diverging personalities, but those hey, Bubba Carpenter and me, we're a lot different, a heck of a lot different. We don't have a rivalry or anything like that. There's a whole lot of love going on there. But under different circumstances, it could be
get a little heated.
It could end up being not ever between he and I, just because of the people that we are, but based upon the things we believe in and sort of our backgrounds and all of that. Sometimes that could lead to a little bit of an explosive atmosphere. Like I've read stories of, what was it was the Detroit Tigers television crew. Mario Impemba was the play-by-play guy. Rod Allen was the color analyst, and Allen and Impemba both got let go and suspended because they got into a fight off the air, and Allen punched Impemba in the face. And I remember reading the same story or hearing the same story about the play-by-play announcer I grew up listening to of the Pirates, Lanny Fratteri. He was apparently socked in the face by Bob Walk, former Pirate pitcher and still color analyst, because I think after all that time and all that losing, these two couldn't really stand the sight of each other for that very moment. So
that's the thing with baseball broadcasts. You've really got to like and want to work with that person, because unlike football, where it's once a week, you can be together for 4 to 6 hours, say your goodbyes, and see them next week. With baseball, especially in the majors, it's every day. You got to look at that guy's stupid face and hear his smug little voice every day.
Yeah, when it's a teammate instead of someone you're married to. Like you can't really give up a brother or sister. You can act like you're giving them up, but it's still a brother or sister. You dislike your significant other, go to the courthouse, take care of it. Divorce kind of solves that, and you don't have to look at that person's stupid face, if that's the way you view it, and for the rest of your life. Teammates is a different thing, until
out of your control, unless you want to quit.
Or you're a free agent, you can go somewhere, or in college sports free agency, go into the transfer portal and all that. But with teammates and rivalries, it's up to the coaches, and usually you still want to be on the team, right? You don't want to be dropped, you don't want to be released. But people that work together, you're forced to work together in a lot of cases. So it's more about luck if you get along with that person. And
I think we've gotten lucky between the three of us here in the 2 months that I've been here.
I've been hiding my utter you're so despicable, Drew. I've just been hiding this from the start. And
you're really good.
Sooner or later, it's going to bubble up, and I'm just going to, I don't know, quit.
You've hiding it off air, too, and we've had the opportunities to share meals together. You hit it very well. So I'm a little shocked. I'm not going to say hurt, because it's only been 2 months, and I understand if you want to part ways. I mean, it's like crying over somebody you've been dating for 2 months. Like, come on, it's been 2 months. Like, so I understand.
You're not going to if you leave, you're not going to take half of Phil's property, are you?
No, I'm not.
Good, because I don't have anything for you to take.
I don't have anything for you to take if you wanted something either.
Colton reminds us Van Halen's manager suggested replacing David Lee Roth with Sammy Hagar before Van Halen ever released their first album. That I had no idea.
Did not know that.
I prefer the Gary Cherone years.
I could not have pictured Sammy Hagar with Ain't Talking About Love. Couldn't have pictured that. Oh, the Gary Cherone years, too.
I don't think there were even years. I think that was like maybe a 6 month
That was
stint.
like a minute or something. Yeah.
I remember actually buying that album, though. I had so much hope, because at the time I was like, oh, I know Van Halen's cool. It's like my dad listened to Van Halen. Well, this is my generation's Van Halen. And then I get in, it was just a huge
I haven't even heard of that guy.
And in the music video, I remember Eddie Van Halen had on this stupid hat in the video. It was just not a good album.
Drew Maddie, here's another advice columnist who's still around now. She's got a pretty interesting Twitter feed. Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
She's the sex lady, isn't she?
She can't be alive. If she's 125.
I think she is still alive. I'm pretty sure she's still alive.
Wow. I hope she's still with us.
I mean, she's been around forever.
Wasn't she like 90 in the 80s?
That's what I was thinking.
She's
93 years old.
Wow.
She is alive. Just goes to show what good sex will do.
There you go.
She's alive a lot longer than you thought. So that's great advice here on this advice show, which you thought was a sports show. 877-377-6963. I've been promising 3 up, 3 down, so let's do it in the next segment.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
So happy together. And how is the weather? So happy together.
Halftime is brought to you by Crabtree RV Center. 4 generations making your family dreams come true.
Are you looking to renovate your spice cabinet? Well, Rub It Snout All Grub Rubs will do just that. This is the one seasoning that is fantastic on all food. Rub It Snout is literally the only seasoning you'll need. Our family of All Grub Rubs will take any food to the maximum level of flavor. Rub It Snout All Grub Rubs are excellent for cooking, smoking, grilling, frying, and baking. But don't take our word for it. Get yours now. Spread the rub. Go to rubitsnout.com to place your order.
When it comes to baling, the denser, the better. Williams Tractor in Fayetteville, Berryville, and Bobcat in Northwest Arkansas can show you how roll belt round balers produce denser and higher quality round bales that drive down your production costs while driving up the nutrition of your bales. A competitive comparison showed New Holland roll belt round balers provide savings in net wrap, transportation, and lower storage losses. It's like being able to afford a new baler every other year. Stop by Williams Tractor in Fayetteville, Berryville, and Bobcat in Northwest Arkansas soon to learn firsthand about the benefits of roll belt round balers.
Standard Materials Group has immediate openings for ready-mix drivers in the Northwest Arkansas area. If you have a CDL license without an automatic restriction and want to be home every night, want to work with a company that offers great pay, benefits, and a great team environment with growth opportunities, apply today at jobs.crh.com. Again, that's jobs.crh.com. Standard Materials Group is an equal opportunity employer.
Was your roof damaged by recent storms? Don't fall victim to out-of-town contractors and fly-by-night repairmen. Trust the local roofing professionals at Able Roofing. Call their local number, 474-0006, for a free roof inspection. Never trust something as important as the roofing system on your home to a storm chaser. Able Roofing, 474-0006, will work with your insurance company. Call now for your free roof inspection, 474-0006. Able Roofing, the hometown roofers.
Have you ever been to River City Bistro for a brunch on the weekends? Every Saturday and Sunday, River City is open at 10 a.m. with a special brunch menu. Eggs and omelets any way you like. Premium bacon, sausage and ham, waffles, eggs Benedict, and a great drink menu featuring mimosas, Bloody Marys, and all your brunch favorites. We will see you for brunch every Saturday and Sunday starting at 10 a.m. at River City Bistro, 7320 Rogers Avenue in the Stonewood Village Shopping Center.
Your husband is pretty handy to have around. He makes the world's best mac and cheese. He's in the Tickle Monster Hall of Fame. And he can teach anyone how to throw strikes. But a busted pipe in a basement full of water?
Honey, I think we need a plumber.
Is a little out of his league. That's where a homeowner's policy from Shelter Insurance comes in handy. We'll help get your house back in order and your husband back to what he does best.
Ask Shelter agents Brandon Zimmerman or Chris Dooley about a free insurance review.
Hi, this is Melissa with True Grit Running Company. Each day we see familiar faces who have supported us from the beginning because they see the benefits of an active lifestyle. We're also always meeting new customers who are taking their first steps towards making running or walking a part of daily life. We have the opportunity to share in their successes and help them achieve their goals. The people of Fort Smith and the River Valley are why we believe we were voted one of the best running stores in America. Visit us and see how we can help you. True Grit Running Company, 6808 Rogers Avenue, Suite B, behind Chick-fil-A.
Whether it's a game day, a holiday, an office function, or your family lunch or dinner, Whole Hog Cafe on Phoenix Avenue is ready to serve you their award-winning barbecue and sides. Dine in or call for takeout at Whole Hog Cafe on Phoenix Avenue or go online at wholehogfortsmith.com and make sure to check out their buddy packs and party packs. Whole Hog Cafe on Phoenix Avenue is currently open 11 till 6 Monday through Friday. Experience award-winning barbecue and sides at Whole Hog Cafe on Phoenix Avenue today.
This is ESPN 95.3.
Hey, Surrey! Took a 911 about 107 down a back road where the White River runs and the Southern Sun makes a cousin road.
Need a little bit more halftime in your life? Make sure to download the Eastside Liquor Halftime Podcast. Eastside Liquor in Fort Smith has the best deals in the River Valley on liquor, beer, and wine. Stop by 9390 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith and make sure to check out their Facebook page for weekly specials. The Eastside Liquor Halftime Podcast is part of the Hit That Line Podcast Network and is available wherever you listen to podcasts.
All right, we've got so much saved up here for this second hour because
I mean, we could always move the college football thing to tomorrow.
All this stuff
we got
getting
plenty of
built
time
up,
tomorrow,
the pressure, we're going to explode here if we don't release some of this pressure.
I know exactly what you mean. Buckle my belt a little bit here to relieve that pressure a bit. Yeah, I wanted to do our college football road trip that Drew planned for himself. I've planned for myself. We can push that to tomorrow because nobody's played a game yet, so you don't have to worry about it.
We got plenty of time.
But for our listeners, we might start planning now. If you want to do it, like go week 0 through week 15 and pick one game a week that you want to visit, whether it's for the matchup or whether it's the city or the stadium or the traditions of that city and stadium. You can just let us know, 877-377-6963. But we'll get into that tomorrow because right now it's time for 3 Up, 3 Down.
It's like a calling card or a shout out or something.
That sucked.
The best of the best of the best of the best of the best.
What does 3 up and 3 down mean to you, Airman?
End of an inning. Well, that's not the worst part.
What is the worst part?
It's time for 3 Up, 3 Down.
3 ups to Crabtree RV Center in Alma. That's the dealership been serving the River Valley in Northwest Arkansas for over 70 years with a showroom that's on 17 acres, size 26,000 square feet. You'll find them right there at the junction of I-40 and I-49 in Alma beside the Cracker Barrel. Crabtree RV Center gives each family the best experience. They'll start to help you choose the right RV for your adventures. Got the service and parts department and everything needed in between. Crabtree RV, making your family's dreams come true for over 70 years and 4 generations. Their website for inventory, crabtreerv.com. I'd mentioned it earlier in the show. Big up, first up, Kellen Robinson, high school point guard at Little Rock Episcopal, a freshman, part of the 2025 college class, incoming college class. He'll be a freshman in college in 2025. He is the brother of Arkansas. Is it freshman or sophomore still? Forget if he got a red shirt for last year because of the injury. KK Robinson is his older brother. And Kellen, this is one of the all-time great Instagram photos in basketball recruiting history. He got an offer from Auburn over the weekend on an official visit, and the photo of him right there with Bruce Pearl, and Pearl has a big fat smile on his face, and he must be thinking to himself, why is this kid wearing an Arkansas Razorback t-shirt while he's visiting Auburn? Well, I'll tell you why. He ain't going to go to Auburn. He was probably going to end up coming to Arkansas, but maybe that's the hint to Bruce Pearl.
Maybe
I love
it
it.
is.
Kellen
or
Robinson.
just a shot to try to get free stuff. I don't have any Auburn stuff. You got to give it to me.
Yeah, but once you end up signing at Arkansas, like you throw the Auburn stuff away, or you don't throw it away. You give it to Goodwill.
Yeah.
Always the best way to go.
Good
The
cause.
first down goes to the guy who was supposed to be a franchise cornerstone for the suckiest team, the second suckiest team in the National
About to
League,
say.
the Pittsburgh Pirates. Gregory Polanco was put on waivers by the Pirates yesterday. He's supposed to be a franchise cornerstone. They let McCutchen go, and they traded Starling Marte thinking this is the guy we're going to invest our money in, and he's going to be the cornerstone for the future. Well, after hitting a $199 with a 278 on base slugging, under 350, he's put on waivers. Meanwhile, Marte is having a great year. McCutchen has still been better by leaps and bounds than Polanco has since he left Pittsburgh.
Still been decent at his old age.
It's $11 million to stink. Gregory Polanco, I know that he was a good teammate and the media members liked him, but down, way down.
My first up, both my first ups and downs are both with the NFL. Up, mentioned it at the start of the show. The Ravens, they win their 19th straight preseason game with a victory over the Panthers. That matches the Packers' all-time record. The Ravens matched the 1959 and 1962 Packers for the NFL record of most preseason games won in a row with their 20-3 win over the Carolina Panthers, which it's almost fitting that this is the one that ties it. It would have been a little bit more fitting if it was the one that broke it, but the streak got started back in 2016 with the Ravens win over the Carolina Panthers. So the first one and the one to tie the record against the same franchise. My first down, Chicago Bears fans. I mean, what are you doing? I mean, come on, man. Like, do you really have to boo Andy Dalton? Do you have to boo him every time he steps onto the field and do the "We want Justin" chant? I mean, do we have to? And it's preseason, guys. Like, come on. Like, it doesn't even matter. I mean, I know I just talked about 19 straight wins and how that matters to me. But for the Bears, it doesn't matter. Andy Dalton knows his role. He knows he's a placeholder. He knows he's there to keep this train chugging along down the tracks until Justin Fields can get his feet wet, until he can get himself under him, get his feet under him, and not get absolutely murdered and killed and ruined like so many rookie quarterbacks that we have seen. Now, most of those have been out of the great city of New York and on the Jets side in the most recent of errors, but just let Andy Dalton do his thing for a year or two, and then you're going to get Justin, all right? As soon as he's ready, he's going to come in. But don't take it out on Andy. Andy didn't ask to be with the Bears. Andy didn't ask to be in this situation. It's not his fault.
For Bears fans, like when your greatest quarterback in your franchise history was Sid Luckman, and he last played in 1950.
I was about to say, that was close to 100 years ago.
It's a pretty frustrated fan base. I agree, though. I mean, There's nothing against Andy Dalton. He's just not good. He's not Justin Fields. My second up, Chase Daniel, former Mizzou quarterback. This guy is making an incredible amount of money for holding a clipboard, basically. Like, I mean, we've always said, like, the best job in the NFL is backup quarterback or even a third-string quarterback, somebody that doesn't have to take any hits, has to practice holding a clipboard, and you still get a lot of money coming in. Chase Daniel is starting his 12th NFL season. He signed with the LA Chargers to back up Matthew Stafford for the second year in a row. He did the same last year in Detroit. This is the 6th team he's playing for in 12 years. He passed for 60 yards on 21 attempts yesterday in a loss to the San Francisco 49ers. Daniel has attempted in his career 261 total passes.
Nice.
That's an average of 26 passes per year. And at the age of 34, he's made $16 million. Now, look, there are NFL players that make that in half a season. $16 million is a hell of a lot of money.
It's a lot more than I'll ever make.
And he's done it without having to take all that many hits. That's smart. Chase Daniel, he's good enough to be in the NFL, just not good enough to play.
Hey, there's no problem against that. Chase Daniel was a great quarterback at Mizzou. I remember watching him back in the day thinking this guy's going to be electric. Obviously didn't turn out the way he would like it, but a 12-year career, I don't think anybody turned that down.
I would take what would you do for $16 million? There are a lot of people I know that might actually they might remove an ear or something like that, and all he's had to do is just stand there with a clipboard and occasionally, get in there. He might have taken
play
a
some
couple of hits
preseason.
here. Yeah, by the way, preseason matters not.
It does. It does when you win 19 straight. It matters. My first up, I'm going to give an up to Shohei Ohtani for nothing that he's done on the field. While he has done a great job on the field and is electric and definitely, if not one of the biggest stars in all of Major League Baseball. But I'm going to give it up to him over the weekend when they were at Williamsport for the Little League World Series game with the Angels. Shohei only signed baseballs for the kids themselves. Said he didn't want to sign balls or any memorabilia for adults that he knew was just there to sell it off of eBay. Wanted to make it very special for those kids in attendance and only gave them the autographs. I thought that was a really cool gesture and to kind of just show that an autograph still should mean something and it's not just a dollar sign.
Yeah, I can get with that. I like that a lot because there's a lot of athletes that just despise the thought that there are people making money just off of an autograph that they decided to sign for them for free. So, way to go, Shohei. I did have a second down. Did you see this
you didn't do your other down?
I didn't do my second down.
Oh, my
this
bad.
Is great.
I didn't mean to jump you.
You're good. Don't worry. You got to turn up the radio a little bit for this because this comes from a commitment ceremony in San Diego over the weekend. Jalil Tucker is a four-star defensive back recruit from San Diego, and he was set to announce his commitment to either Florida State, Washington, or Oregon. And this was his father briefly before his son makes the announcement, speaking with the reporter who's hosting this.
I'm happy for him. He's a good kid, lazy, but he's a good kid. And I know he's going to represent Oregon well.
Oops.
Oh, Dad.
Great reaction, though, from the kid and from the host, who goes over, whispers in his ear.
Right. We're going to do it.
All right. Don't worry. Let's go. Have the decision. Tell us who it's going to be.
For the next couple of years, I'll be attending the University of Oregon.
Oh, you don't say. You don't say. I went looking for this dad's name, and I couldn't find it anywhere over the internet. He is forever now Jalil Tucker's dad, who can't hold a secret, but at least it's not Jacob Copeland's mom walking out on the signing ceremony a couple of years ago.
So mad. She was
yeah,
so
she was the mom wearing the Tennessee hat and the Alabama shirt. Her son chooses Florida. She gets up and walks out.
Oh, it's so bad. I mean, because that's such a big event for a lot of these kids of doing the hat dance of ripping off the jacket and showing the shirt, and for the dad to ruin it, that's just awful. And hopefully the kid doesn't harbor too much ill will against him. My second down, though. Have you seen these people doing this milk crate challenge?
I have.
On the Twitters and the TikToks.
Has anybody completed this thing?
I did see one guy complete it while doing something. I don't want to.
So this is like an obstacle course thing. It's just
So it's like one milk crate, two milk crates,
you get
3,
one, though, that,
4, 5. I think it goes up to 6.
I think at
and
a
then
certain
you have to go
point,
back down.
It's physically impossible to keep your balance.
I did see one video.
I've only seen one
guy.
video, and it's one guy, and he just crashes like right as he gets to the top.
Oh, it's so bad. I've seen some of them where the guys like land up are up at the top. They fall. The crates go everywhere, and then they land on those crates, and it looks like it breaks their back. I mean, enough with the stupid challenges. I mean, come on.
I don't think it's even physically possible.
I didn't even know you could go buy crates. I was like, where do you even get a milk crate? Do you have to go rob your local elementary school? Because that's the only place I ever saw a milk crate at.
I'm sure there's a lot of people, their jobs, if they're work,
But here's the thing. Apparently, you can go buy them at Walmart because as I'm going down this milk crate challenge rabbit hole, apparently you can buy like each for like $1. But can we just stop it with the stupid little challenges, and especially the ones where people are getting physically harmed? Like some of these wipeout videos are just good.
But Drew, people like watching other people get hurt. There was a
I
whole
know,
television
but why you gotta
series
be so
called America's Funniest Home Video that was basically built upon people getting hit in the crotch.
I know what it is.
I might be one of those people. Like there really isn't anything as funny in the
It's
world
hilarious.
as somebody getting hit.
But why are
in
people
the, in
doing
the,
it
in
to
the
themselves?
groin with a baseball or any? Come on, everybody
See,
laughs when you see
exactly,
somebody
but
get
that's different.
hit
That's
in the junk.
accidental.
I feel like
that's
I'm
the kid off the tee, or the goose is chasing the person through the park. Those are always
you
fun.
don't.
But
you don't
these
have
people
to feel,
are doing it to themselves.
And so you don't have to feel bad because they are dumb enough to do something like that. So to me, I can laugh because I know I wouldn't do it.
I want us all, as a collective, as a human species, as meat sacks, to be better and to be smarter.
Yeah, kumbaya and all that kind of stuff, but I'm still this person that watches the fights of fans in stadiums on Twitter over and over again just because. I mean, it's like, and I'm not I am one of the least violent people you'll ever meet, but I still, it's like rubbernecking.
You're right.
You
I mean,
can't
I
take
like
your eyes
to
off of
like
it.
to watch
Why
UFC.
are the Jackass movies are so popular? Because people love
They
watching
are
other
funny.
people hurt themselves.
All right, I think we got to start the break, otherwise we're going to come up against it.
Did you want to
pretty
get to
quickly.
our last up down on the other side?
Well, I will give an up to Justin Fields for at least telling Chicago fans that it's disrespectful to boo Andy Dalton. I think that says something about the young man. And a down to Ty Richardson, because this morning I heard him talk about a story he saw in the newspaper in Portland, which is called the Oregonian, not the Oregonian. So I just let him know about that. So that's it. And also an extra down to you, Drew, for caring about the NFL preseason this much.
Hey, 19 straight. Last up, I'll just do my last up. Well, today has been a sad day for if you listen to hour one. Today's also a happy day. About 45 minutes ago, my brother sent me a few pictures and announcing that him and my sister-in-law are pregnant. So,
oh man,
I will become an uncle for the third time in 7 months.
Yeah.
I believe.
They might want to keep you away from your nephew for maybe the first few months. Just saying. Halftime to close it up next.
Farm Credit has been a trusted friend for over 100 years. They are ag financing experts. So whether you're a longtime farmer, new to farming, or buying your dream home or land in the country, their experienced staff has a plan to fit your goals, needs, and your bottom line. From farms to land, livestock, equipment, and more, Farm Credit finances it all. Learn more at myaglender.com. Farm Credit is an equal opportunity lender.
Did you invest in real estate only to find out that real estate takes up too much of your time? If you answered yes, then it's time to make a call to the experts. With more than 30 years of combined property management experience and more than 16,000 units managed, Trinity Multifamily are the ones to call. Get your life back. Call Trinity Multifamily at 479-452-1817 or online at trinitymultifamily.com. Trinity Multifamily, your teammate in the real estate game.
When you want beer, you go to a bar. When you want top shelf spirits, wines, handcrafted cocktails, and cigars, in an atmosphere benefiting a destination, you go to 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Try our new menu items including fish and chips, classic club sandwiches, Caesar and Cobb salads, or stick to your favorites, dine in or carry out. Enjoy our state-of-the-art air filtration system. 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge, defining nightlife in downtown Fort Smith. Doors open at 4 Tuesday through Saturday.
Needing your roof repaired? Ramos Roofing is a local company that has over 25 years of experience, specializing in your residential or commercial roofing needs in the Oklahoma area. Ramos Roofing, a company you can trust, offering discounts to senior citizens, law enforcement, or healthcare workers, and assists in your insurance claims. Ramos Roofing, standing behind their work so you can stand under it. Call 479-420-9903. That's 420-9903. Ramos Roofing, working with you to build a better home.
Make your car buying experience better at Hertz Car Sales. The goal is to provide customers with a wide selection of low-mileage, extra-clean vehicles, providing their buyers with a better way to drive. A professional sales staff, quality customer service, along with a relaxing atmosphere is what you find every time at Hertz Car Sales. What are you waiting for? Make the short drive to 2810 Midland Boulevard or call them today at 783-1722. You can also check them out online at buyfromhertz.com. Hertz Car Sales, when you're ready.
Make Awake Bait and Tackle on Highway 64 between Van Buren and Alma has everything a fisherman needs. Rods, reels, tackle, plastics, all kinds of great baits to catch a wall hanger. Rods starting at $69.95. The biggest selection of plastics in the River Valley. Reaction Innovation, Bobby Garland, Lake Forgoogan, and more. And Make Awake has Daiwa rods and reels, and they repair them too. Make Awake Bait and Tackle, 1 mile east of I-540 on Highway 64 between Van Buren and Alma. Make Awake Bait and Tackle.
Ever had a water heater that caused flooding? Or a water heater that won't put out hot water? What's worse is when the family uses up all the hot water, leaving you a cold shower. This can be a nightmare. Hi, it's Emily with Mr. Rooter Plumbing in Fort Smith. Did you know that we offer tankless water heaters so you never have to have this problem again? When you need plumbing, call Mr. Rooter in Fort Smith or book online at mrrooter.com. We're your neighborly company.
What matters most to your family can now cost less. When you choose comfortable, reliable, and efficient natural gas heating, water heating, cooking, and clothes drying for your home, you make the right choice in today's environment. High-efficiency natural gas appliances can reduce your monthly costs. And right now, you can save even more with heating and water heating rebates from AOG. Visit AOGC.com today and get more comfort for less cost.
This is ESPN 95.3.
Love and happiness.
Now, back to the guys. Here's Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett.
You know how fun it is sometimes to tell Drew and previously Ty and also SmackDown about what life used to be like before the internet was so popular.
Well, at least I knew what it was.
News services and wires. And
I've
stuff
never
like that
seen
that
them, but I've
spit news
heard
out.
stories of the wire of having to actually get in and go word by word and just kind of move the piece of paper through your hands, right?
Yes, exactly. There's so much that we can teach you until the end of time, until the black hole swallows this earth up.
When you were in high school and you had to do a report, did you ever have to go to the library and look up microfiche? You know what microfiche is?
I don't. I did talk about how I remember doing my first book report on a floppy disk, though.
I did hear y'all talking about, and Phil made the distinction. There was two floppy disks.
It was
there was
the
one
hard
that was
disk,
the big. Okay,
yes.
it was yeah.
It
the
wasn't the actual
3.5
floppy
inch,
flop. Yeah.
Yeah, back in my day, I don't even want to do that. I don't even need to do that. All right, tomorrow we'll do our college football road trips. We'll dig into baseball a little bit. Hopefully your Orioles continue to do their
Fingers crossed.
their
18
thing.
down, 4 to go.
4 losses to go, and I'm sure they'll do it. I saw Adam Wainwright continues to get fat on the Pirates. Not to take away what he's done this year, but the Pirates are a pretty big reason why Wainwright is doing as well as he is. He beat them for the second time in 11 days yesterday. He has now thrown 19 consecutive scoreless innings against the Pirates. His record against Pittsburgh in 3 starts, 3 wins, 23 innings allowed, 1 run, 11 batters reaching, and 79 batters faced. He's good against the rest of the big leagues, just not like that. 9-7, 3.54 ERA against everybody else. That's not sucky like the Pirates. And against the Pirates, 3-0, 1 run at 23 innings. Guess who Wainwright throws against next?
The Pirates again?
You got it right. Yes. So he can go 4-0 against them over the course of 3 weeks. Otherwise, congrats to Miggy Cabrera, 500 home runs. You know, that was just the 54th home run he's hit in the last 5 years. Injuries obviously taking their toll. but now he's got a chance. I don't think he can do it this year, but wouldn't it be interesting to have your 500th home run come the same year you collect your 3,000th base hit? He's 45 hits away from 3,000. I don't know if he'll get there.
I don't know.
But he's going to be around another year. He signed another season, so he'll get to that 3,000 hits. Did you know there are only 5 players in Major League history that are part of the 500 home run 3,000 hit club? And Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, A-Rod, Rafael Palmeiro, and Eddie Murray.
And 2 of those were Orioles, so go figure. I guess he could have been good back in the day.
And 3 of them are in the Hall of Fame. Think about that. A-Rod's not in. Palmeiro's not in. I can't imagine Palmeiro getting in really anytime soon based upon the vote totals. But when you look at a guy that's got 500 homers and 3,000 hits.
Yeah, kind of wagging your finger and lying straight to Congress kind of ruins your reputation with a lot of people.
I get that. But
and especially a young 8-year-old who looked up to him and loved him and thought he walked on water when he played for the Orioles. But, it's fine.
The Hall of
I'm
Fame
not hurt by it anymore.
The Hall of Fame can be a really abstract thing when it comes to it. Go back and look at the career totals between Fred McGriff and Jeff Bagwell, and you look at those and explain to me why would McGriff not be in when Bagwell is. It makes no sense whatsoever.
I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I feel like if you're bringing it up, it makes a good point.
Well, I looked at those stats, and they'd certainly compare to each other. Last thing I wanted to get to, and it's not sports related. It is music related. Perhaps you know the famous song by Grand Funk Railroad, an American band that references "Last Night in Little Rock Put Me in a Haze." Sweet, sweet Connie was, and I don't remember exactly the. Do you remember the lyric there? Sweet, sweet Connie was doing her stuff.
I forget the exact lyric.
It rhymes with natural fact. I think doing her act. And it's a natural fact. She passed away over the weekend.
All right.
Sweet, sweet Connie. Maybe the most famous, certainly one of the most famous music groupies of all time, and a cultural legend across Central Arkansas.
She had information about rock stars that, really was unique, Not a lot of people.
I would have watched that documentary.
So Grand Funk Railroad put her in a song, and Led Zeppelin wrote about her, too. That's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. So rest in peace.
Quite the legacy.
Sweet, sweet Connie Hamsey passed away over the weekend. And that is halftime for your Monday. Lots to get to tomorrow. And that'll include our college football road trips. So it's good to be back with you for week 0. And we can get the countdown going to Arkansas football next Saturday. And we'll see you guys tomorrow here on halftime. For Drew, for Maddie, I'm Phil. Get up, get out, and get better.